Oh yes, the holidays. They're here. And I'm so excited, said no CPTSD survivor ever. So today let's talk about CPTSD and the survival guide to get through this crazy holiday time because as you know, if you're a trauma survivor, the holidays can be pretty crazy. And I think I still got a piece of cookie in my mouth. Give me a second. Okay, it's gone, but now I need some water. So let's talk about the holidays when you have CPTSD because it's honestly probably one of the hardest time for trauma survivors ever. And whoever designed this season clearly never sat through a childhood full of emotional landmines, unpredictable adults, and a family gathering that felt more like a hostage takeover rather than a celebration. So thanks whoever designed the holiday season. So for most people, the holidays are twinkly little lights, right? Nice and shiny, red, orange, blue. Red, orange, blue? Well, I can tell you never had a holiday season because they're more like white and red and green. Although I never seen green lights. So for most people, the holidays are twinkly little lights, matching pajamas, ugly sweaters, warm glow, and a fuzzy little feeling you get in your stomach. But for trauma survivors, that glow is usually the amygdala firing off like it's a freaking sniper at every little thing that it sees that is danger. And it's trying to snipe. And every year you swear, you know what? I'm going to be prepared. This time is going to be different. You promise I'm not going to go in and feel so overwhelmed. I'm going to be calm. I'm not going to shut down. I'm not going to freeze. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to flight. I'm not going to fawn. And I'm not going to do every other freaking trauma trigger in the book or response because this is different. And then as soon as you walk in, you realize, holy shit, my nervous system is triggered. I'm about to binge eat 500 Christmas cookies. I'm about to binge eat a whole bunch of apple pie and turkey because I feel like I'm being dragged down emotional quicksand. And that feeling fucking sucks. And you can be like, thanks, nervous system, for everything you have given me. So let's break down the real holiday survival guide for people with CPTSD and not just this typical stuff that you hear all over the place, right? So let's start with the truth. The holiday season is basically a big giant sensory overload, triple buffet on like crack, right? You got the noise, the smells, the food, the crowd, the travel, the expectations, the family systems, and the calendar that forces you into relational togetherness. Let's be together. Hi, I'm an orphan. I don't know how to be together. That's me. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of myself. Actually, not making fun of myself. I'm just making light of it because it's the truth. So people that struggle with CPTSD, they don't really struggle because they're fragile. They struggle because their nervous system was wired and trained to scan for danger long before it was trained to scan for joy, connection, love. Because life, when you were being traumatized, was conditional, and that's how your nervous system had to be trained. And so that's why during the holiday season, everything around you speeds up, everything gets louder, everything gets way more intensified because your brain is literally thinking that you're back in this time where everything was a threat, but you're not. And you're like, chill out, brain, we're good. But it's just smoking. And it's like fumes coming out of everywhere. I know for me personally, and for a lot of the clients that I speak with, one of the most underrated reasons that holidays are so hard is because of the relational pressure. Trauma survivors, most of us, we grew up without a safety net, without safety, consistent or emotional connections. And so the idea of the holiday cheer, right? It can feel like pressure to perform a version of yourself that you never got to be. Me, I never had a childhood, so I wouldn't even know what that even feels like. So everyone wants you to be smiling, participating, engaging, and pretending that it's the most wonderful time of year. Meanwhile, your nervous system is like, yeah, I can't handle this. I'm sweating, I'm pacing, I'm disassociating, I'm freaking 100% times 9 triggered all over the place. I need to chill. Okay, Joe, so what's the neuroscience behind this? I'm so glad you asked. So when you were growing up, right, in chaos, your brain was wired, literally rewires and programs itself around protection instead of connection, right? So the prefrontal cortex, beautiful, fat, little spongy part of your brain in the front, well, that bad boy, it takes a break. And that's supposed to be responsible for logical, rational thinking. And it goes, hey, amygdala, deep in the brain, let's scan for danger. And that's the threat detector. And that bad boy takes the front seat and it goes, yeah, everything is dangerous, even that pretty girl who's smiling at me. So basically, amygdala is clocked in doing like 3 jobs at one time. And during the holiday season, there's no gap. You don't get a little shift break. You don't get lunch breaks, dinner breaks. You're just working 3 shifts back to back to back to back to back. And anything that looks unfamiliar, emotionally loaded, or unpredictable, well, that activates these old protective schemes within our nervous system and our brain. And that's a no know. And suddenly your slightly inappropriate cousin, well, you associate him with danger, even though he's just annoying and just doesn't know boundaries as well as he should. And so, boom, you get trauma triggered and you just want to run and leave. That brings me to my next point. Let's talk about the emotional flashbacks, right? So basically they hit hard during the holidays because they aren't memories per se. They're a time machine that take you back to this place where you felt like a victim, where you felt helpless, when you were being traumatized. And so when you sit in a room and pretend to be happy or to pretend to be connected, this emotion takes over and you feel like you're 5 years old being re-traumatized, even though you're 45 and you're just eating turkey and pumpkin pie. And so that's what emotional flashbacks do. They pull you back into the younger version of yourself who didn't get a choice, who didn't have a voice. And so why would you not go numb? Why would you not overheat? Why would you not overeat, shut down, and suddenly want to say, you know what? I need to get the fuck out of here. That's a normal reaction when you've been traumatized. Think about it like this. There's nothing wrong with your personality per se. Like I always say, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that your nervous system just needs to learn a new programming because it's running back on an old script that no longer serves you. Another overlooked piece that a lot of CPTSD survivors struggle with is loneliness. Even if you have people around you, right, in this day and age and not going back to your trauma, even if you build a whole new life, the holidays tend to poke at the attachment wounds that never fully got resolved. And so you might feel alone in a crowded room. You might feel like an outsider, even though you know everyone in the space. And the main reason for that is because the holiday season is built on the idea of family. And for survivors, that word carries a lot of freaking trauma for decades. That really ain't make any sense. That word just carries a lot of weight is what I really meant to say. So what do you do first? First, remember, you're not obligated to perform. You don't need to show up as this healed version, guru monk version of yourself. And you don't have to pretend that the season is magical because you're allowed to be human. You're allowed to take space. You're allowed to step outside if your heart starts racing. If you feel like you're going to disassociate. If you feel like, you know what, this is crossing my boundaries. Take a time out. And more importantly, you're allowed to decline invitations without writing an essay because your boundaries are your boundaries. Saying no is saying no. You don't have to explain yourself. And one of my favorite things is you are allowed to use what we call micro regulation. Sounds fancy, but it's really simple. This isn't a deep meditation or chanting under a moon type of thing. You can do that stuff too, because that's pretty good for you as well. But this is a tiny nervous system reset that you can do anywhere without drawing attention to yourself. Like when you close your eyes and go, people are gonna be like, oh, bro, you good, bro? And you'll be like, I'm good, bro. 6'7", bro. And they'll be like, huh? Exactly. So how do you do this, Joe? So you basically exhale when you're feeling a little bit too overwhelmed. Loosen your jaw up a little bit. Drop your shoulders. Name 5 things in the room, in your head. Put your feet on the floor and just kind of rub your thighs and tap if you want to, right? And just breathe. Good. Everything is cool. I love being here with my dysfunctional family. And so what that little trick is doing is interrupting Amy, aka the amygdala, and it says, hey, we need a little simple break because this is not dangerous. This is just telling my prefrontal cortex, hey bro, get back online. I just took a little 15-minute break and we're gonna start to get a little emotional flashbacky if you don't come back. Another tool is anchoring your holiday for the present instead of the past. And I had to learn this the hard way because I was an orphan who lost my father, my grandmother, and my mother all within the Christmas season, literally like 2-3 days apart. And that was pretty freaking ratchet for decades. But I learned how to anchor myself in today rather than the past. And so what you got to do is remind yourself that this isn't that year. You're not trapped. You're not powerless. You're not a child anymore. You're not stuck in a house where you can't escape. You're an adult with choices, with a credit card, with boundaries, with an Uber. Hey, I need to get the fuck out of here. With your own car, you can leave.
You needed to leave that crazy family dysfunctional holiday party, didn't you?
Yes.
And when you give yourself that little reminder, your nervous system just gets a little more space and your brain goes, that is right. I can leave this freaking dysfunctional chaos if it turns that way. Or if it's just great and I'm having a good time, I can stay here too. And if you're anything like me, who grew up an orphan, who didn't have a family for a long time, and you have to spend the holidays alone, that's okay too. You're not broken. You don't have a personality flaw. There's nothing wrong with you beside having trauma. It just makes it intentional. I want to stay alone, or I want to be invited to a friend's gathering, Friendsgiving, Friends Christmas, whatever the case may be. That's your choice. A lot of survivors really, they spend the years trying to earn a spot at the table where we never quite really fit in. And so the holidays holidays isn't about who you're gathering with. It's about who you become when you stop begging for space that can't hold you, right? What's that song? And no back, like the city can't hold us. I can't sing. So spending time alone to stay regulated isn't isolation. You're just withdrawing for the moment so you can stay regulated so you don't dysregulate. You got to think about it like this. It's self-respect in disguise as peace, because your peace, your safety, your regulation, that's more important than trying to pretend to fit in somewhere you know you don't fit in. And remember that healing doesn't take a holiday break. You're allowed to protect your energy. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to step out of conversations that make you feel uncomfortable. You're allowed to leave early, because healing is not a destination. Healing is the journey. Wise one. Yes. I love martial arts. You're allowed to leave early. You're allowed to carve out space and moments to make yourself feel safe. And if nobody understands why, that's fine. Only you and your nervous system and your brain understand why. And that's fine as well. So yeah, CPTSD makes the holidays fucking complicated, but complicated doesn't mean hopeless. It doesn't mean helpless. With awareness, boundaries, regulation tools, and a little bit of love and kindness toward your younger parts, right, that got trapped in there and all traumatized, you can get through this season without collapsing into survival mode, into dysregulation mode. But if you do collapse, take a moment, right? And say, it's okay. I'm human. You're healing in real time. Nobody masters the holidays, honestly. We just learn how to navigate them with a little more grace each year. And trust me, they do get better over time. And if you're watching this right now and you already feel a little more aware than you did last year, that's progress. Pat yourself on the back, brothers and brazettes. No, that sounds kind of crazy, and that's something to be proud of as you step into this crazy holiday chaotic season. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, comment, and Merry ho ho ho, something like that. I'm not gonna say it because it sounds weird, but yeah, just roll the tape.
Well, Merry Thanksgiving and a happy Merry Christmas to all, respectfully.
Thank you. We appreciate the sentiment regarding the holidays mentioned.
Happy holidays.